Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Russ Fritz,
And I'm Nathan Johns.
and we're live outside of Lernerville Speedway in Sarver, Pennsylvania.
We're here
Guys,
for the Commonwealth Clash of 2024. It is now a two-day event.
two-day show with the High Limit Racing Series. This is going to be awesome.
Super excited.
This is, and I am also like super excited, Nathan. This is my first time at Lernerville, and thank you so much for inviting us along with you, man.
No problem. Glad you guys could finally make the trip out and see this wonderful track. There is all kinds of history behind this track. At least from me standpoint, it's a surreal feeling when you get the big names like the High Limits and the Lucas Tour. When they come into town, it's like the whole world just shows up in Sarver, Pennsylvania for these shows. And it's crazy. I mean, we've got campers everywhere. I don't know if they can see from the camera view, but there's campers as far as the eye can see, almost to the tree line.
And we are sitting literally right next to the pit entrance, right just off to my right hand side, which will be your left on the screen. But man, it's amazing to see all these guys come in and out of here. We've already spoken with a few drivers, trying to get some interviews. We kind of just threw this together.
Yeah.
And it was planned, but the way we did it, we just wanted to make it like on the spot with live reactions and everything. So don't mind any background noise.
Hopefully we've got campers rolling in.
Hopefully the new microphones that we have,
they're picking up
good and kind of blocking out most of the extra noise. So, but guys, this is awesome. So let's get started with some of the history of Lernerville, Nathan.
Well, Lernerville is a 4/10 of a mile oval. Everybody thinks it's a half mile. It's actually more of a 4/10 of a mile. It's got a very weird shape to it. If you look at it on the map, the start-finish line is not centered on the track. It's more towards the turn 4 end,
kind of like
the front stretch. Kind of. It's got a weird shape to it. Also, some tracks I've seen are like this. We do not have a wall, essentially from turn 1 entry until essentially turn 4 exit. Is we just have a giant, more or less, cliff off the backstretch of turn 2. It's just a hillside. And the pit entrance and exit. The pit entrance is off of the top of turn 3, and the pit exit is the top of turn 4, which in the Outlaw game is a very weird corner. Turn 1 and 2 is okay to enter because you can kind of hit your marks, but there's no real, there's nothing to base your corner off of. You kind of just go in there and either ride against the cushion or you aim for the bottom of the track to roll the bottom. This track can be very treacherous at times, but it also can have some absolutely insane racing when it comes to along the cushion. The slide jobs into turn 1 and 2 and off of 3 and 4 can be very intense. And they can be just the run you can get off the top here and the run you can get off the bottom here. The momentum that you can carry is insane. And it's definitely fun to race virtually, but it's also a lot of fun to watch the big names go at it on, the home of Don Martin's Memorial Raceway. We've got the old school sign off in the distance over here. At one point, this used to be a fairground. Yeah. Way back in the day. Way back before it became Don Martin's Memorial Speedway.
Yeah, way before it became Lernerville Speedway. So,
how are you doing, Chuck? Good to see you join this episode this week.
Dude, this is exciting. But see, before Don Martin was even a track owner and promoter, he was in the 40s. He was a car owner, I believe it.
I believe that's right. I'm not entirely sure on that one.
And according to my notes here, yeah.
Some of the more recent history also is last year we had our track record broken. I believe the track record sat for 21 years. I think it was by Donnie Schatz set it the first time. And just this past year, Brad Sweet broke the track record, I think by a little over a tenth of a second, but I'm not sure. We've got the 6 truck rolling in right now. So that's kind of cool to see some haulers still rolling in.
So yeah, that's going back to Don Martin. Like, okay, so he's he first became interested in racing in the 40s, and in the 50s he became a car owner along with Dick Swartzlander, and he owned a number of different cars throughout the years until he became owner and
Dick,
promoter.
Most people know you pronounce it actually different. It's Dick Swartzlander, who is a very famous name here at Lernerville Speedway. I'm trying to think of the modified driver, Brian Swartzlander, is actually a very, very historic name at this speedway. I believe he used to drive the 83 modified up till his retirement from full-time racing just recently. But I think he's one of the top names, top of the all-time wins list here across all divisions, if I'm not mistaken.
So the track they started building the track here in 1967. You know, it was Earl Ballman, Dale Heffer, and Bucky Fleming started work on the quarter mile here. Now there was actually a quarter mile track here, and this was actually an amusement park, not a fairground, but it was actually an amusement park according to my notes here.
Yeah, because I think they used to have. They used to have the carousel right over here.
Yeah, it was a popular amusement park in the 40s.
I believe they used to run horse racing here too.
But here's a cool, interesting fact about it. The track was slated to open in the spring of 1968, but a city ordinance would have kept them from actually operating the racetrack at all.
That doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
So what they did to beat the ordinance is they actually opened the facility for racing for 2 races in 1967.
That's kind of cool.
The track was in poor condition according to what my notes here say, and to the research, and this is all from research that I did before coming here. But the track was in really poor condition, but they did what they had to do, and I commend them for that, because they did exactly what they had to do to get the racing going here, so they didn't get shut down or stopped altogether and waste all their time, money, and effort to get the place into racing shape. I mean, that was awesome in them, and we're so glad to hear it. Now, the 4/10 mile track, yeah,
that's right.
I don't know what I'm thinking, but no. Now the racetrack is actually red clay, and that is awesome. That is one of the best racing surfaces, in my opinion, to have for cars of this sort. I mean, you just can't beat red clay, in my opinion. That's my personal opinion now.
And another fun fact about Lernerville, and I don't know if this is in your notes also, we are one of the, if not the only track that runs the remaining Fab 4 series with 410 sprints, super late models, big block modifieds, and pro stocks every single Friday night.
And it still does.
We are home of the Fab 4 what I got right here. I believe we are the only track that still runs that on a weekly Fab 4 show, which is insane for me to think about. Although does seem realistic, because no other tracks around here, at least that I can think of, even remotely run that many different classes on their course. I know that you and I passed Michael's Mercer Raceway on the way down.
We stopped at Mercer,
and I know they don't run late models, so that takes them off that list.
Actually, on the way down. On my way over to your place, we actually went by Sharon Speedway in Ohio.
Yes,
which is only right across the state line of Pennsylvania.
They run modifieds and the sprints, but they don't normally run all 4 series at once. Usually they'll have a combination of them, but they do not run. They run sprint cars and the modifieds for the Lou Blaney Memorial when they do it every year. The Ward Outlaws do go there with the late models. And the Ward Outlaw sprints do go there.
I'll tell you, man.
And every once in a while, the Penn Ohio Pro Stocks will run there also.
There are times when I cannot stand the area that we live in, being up north, because we do have to take an off season because of the cold weather months.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you what, it's all worthwhile when it comes to the summertime, because of the amount of different racing facilities that we have to choose from, just between the tri-state area, between Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan and Indiana.
Just in this corner of Pennsylvania, you have Sharon, you have Erie's, you have Michaels Mercer, you have Lernerville. There's Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Motorsports Park. Or
Port Royal.
Port Royal is the other side of the state, but just in this corner of Pennsylvania,
okay.
just in this corner, we have Latrobe, we have PPMS, Lernerville, Sharon, Erie's. You have Marion Center. You have Thunder Mountain, which ran a Ward Outlaw event at one point. I think they still do. I don't know if Hummingbird will reopen next year. They are a track that's in our area. For the guys that don't run big cars, the historic Blanket Hill is actually about 45 minutes behind us off to it'd be my left, the camera's right. It's way off of the distance. We do have the historic Blanket Hill has just reopened within the past few years. They run micro sprints every week. They also run a little bit of everything. They have dwarf cars. The variety of different cars in our area that just run in this side of the state is insane to me.
And in my area of Ohio, we have, you know, Fremont Raceway Park, or not Fremont Raceway Park, but Fremont Speedway, Attica Raceway Park. We have Oakshade Raceway. You have Butler right up in Michigan. Eldora Speedway is about 3.5 hours, somewhere around there away from me. You have Lima Land Motorsports Park. I mean, if you are from Ohio or Pennsylvania area, and
you've got it.
You are a dirt track fan, and you cannot get your fill of racing.
There's something wrong.
There is an issue big time. But I'm going to tell you what, with just such a variety of tracks, along with the variety of different race cars, I mean, you would not believe it. It's amazing to me, and I absolutely love this sport. You know, I love how 90% of the drivers are in this sport compared to others. Our guys, 99% of them are not egotistical, and they are awesome when it comes to their fans.
Yeah.
You know, you have a select few, but you know that's to be expected in any sport. But I'm going to tell you what, there's nothing like a dirt racing athlete, because these guys are athletes. I don't care what anybody says. These guys are athletes because you don't know what it takes to manhandle one of these cars around the racetrack. But these guys are an entirely different breed. Dirt track racers are second to none when it comes to camaraderie. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing else in the world I'd rather do than to be at a dirt track. I would skip a professional football game if I was offered free tickets to come to a race like this that we're at this weekend for the High Limit Series.
And I feel like this is the biggest year we've had when it comes to dirt track racing. We went from having, you know, obviously we had the 3-day, you know, firecracker weekend. Just this year, they extended it to the 2-year.
How you doing? Say hi. We're live on Switching Grooves.
Hi, guys. Would you guys like a card? I'll give them some candy. What do you say? It's a switching. We do a podcast about dirt racing.
Talking to a couple fans here.
We run a track in Australia.
Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Speedway.
There's more Speedway?
I've got stickers. I'll bring you back.
Absolutely. We'd love to have some.
Here, did you want some of these to give to the people in Australia?
So what do you guys?
We do a weekly NASCAR and dirt racing podcast.
We're a weekly podcast. We do dirt track racing and NASCAR. So
why are you guys at Watkins?
We couldn't make the
I couldn't
trip
make
work.
it to Watkins because I got to to work. So, but unfortunately,
we drove past before at Port Royal, and then we went to Waitsport. We drove past.
Yeah.
We're like, oh shit! So we're going in there, and they're like, oh shit! There's NASCAR's.
If you guys get a chance, go to Pocono, also on the other side of Pennsylvania.
Pocono, Pennsylvania. It's a triangle track.
It's not a regular oval.
No, for NASCAR, it's a triangle asphalt track.
Yeah. Oh, we got him some.
But yeah, Pocono's interesting. They call it the tricky triangle.
What's up, Richard?
The NASCAR races there once or twice a year every year.
On
No,
it's
on
an
the
asphalt track.
It's a NASCAR triangle. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, we're still
currently
but
live. If you guys want to
but
come say hi,
this is exactly what we wanted.
we want to have some fan interaction.
We wanted to have interactions like this, so we're absolutely more than happy to have you stopping by. So
We'll bring back some stickers.
thank
absolutely,
you.
we would love that. Thank you very much. And we'd love to throw your guys' name out there in an episode. Maybe even do an entire episode about it.
Yep. Thank you guys.
Thank you. That was actually they
A
said,
fan
no, a fan here, but they actually said that they run what they say
from Australia.
Lismore Speedway in Australia. That is absolutely cool that they came all the way over here
to see some NASCAR
to
and
watch
some
it.
dirt.
And
That's kind of cool.
I just wonder if they might be huge fans of James McFadden.
Probably, that would make sense. That would make sense. It'd be cool to have him come up and sign our shirt. If there's any drivers tuning in, we are doing a breast cancer awareness shirt that we'd like to get all the drivers to sign and hopefully either raffle off or raise some money for breast cancer awareness to try to kind of promote the awareness of that and try to raise some money for it.
We're all about them. I mean, we are a nonprofit. We don't make any money at this.
Yeah,
we do this.
But it would be nice to be able to get some.
Yes, we are monetized, but we don't really take a salary from this. This isn't our job. I have a full-time job. Nathan has a job.
Yep.
And any money that comes in goes right back to the podcast.
Yeah.
And it helps us.
None of this goes into our pockets.
No, it helps us upgrade our equipment, pay for subscriptions to different services that we need for the show. I mean,
hopefully it draws in more fans as we, promote the series.
Absolutely, we do this all because we love racing.
Yes,
and we do this for the fans to help people get involved because, I've been everything from a fan to a driver to a track promoter and owner myself, and that time's over with for me, and this is how I stay involved.
And with me not really being active in the sport right now, it makes it nice to still kind of be part of it.
Well, and it's tough for you, monetary wise, it's getting more and more expensive right now.
Yeah. And
you have other priorities that you have to put ahead of racing, and that is completely understandable. So this is how you stay involved.
It's nice to use this as my, kind of my coping. No, I wouldn't say coping skill, but this is my alternative method of getting my racing, racing itch.
You are actually great for what we do. And I absolutely love having you on the show here. Not that I didn't like my previous co-host, but like we said, he had to work on some things, so I had to find a replacement, and I found the perfect guy to do so. And I'm glad that we came together to do this, man.
Yep. But back to this year, I feel like it's been the biggest year for Lernerville Speedway. Last year at the Commonwealth Clash, they added infield access to watch down turn one. Thought it was the coolest thing ever. I wish they would do it again this year. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to. They do have a new, I guess, pedestal thing where I was hoping it'd be used for, the TV broadcast because I feel like it'll be better for that. But they are trying to sell passes for people to stand above pit road and watch the cars pull out, which is kind of nifty. But aside from the sprint car stuff, I mean, we had, an insane turnout for the Firecrack 100. We had an incredible turnout for Flow Racing Night in America, along with, I believe we had another high limits race earlier in the year. That was just insane. Some of the racing we have at this track, it just gets better and better every year. I mean, we've had some insane racing and in some insane moments.
I'm going to tell you,
it gets better every year, I swear.
Every race that I have watched on this track that I've only been able to watch online, whether it comes to flow racing or dirt vision, I'm going to tell you what, has never ceased to amaze me at all. This racetrack,
and the sad part about that is
facility. It's one of the best facilities in the country, in my opinion.
And I will say, based on watching the broadcast or the replays on YouTube, being in person versus watching online, you miss so much more. There's so much more to the experience being here than watching online. Just watching the full track itself, not just whatever the camera is focusing on, makes it a way broader picture of all the crazy excitement that, say, the broadcast miss. There are some insane moments that I personally have watched that don't make the broadcast when it goes to YouTube or whatever. there is, they may show it on the Flow Racing broadcast, but they don't show it in the replays. And it's crazy to think how much you miss when you're not at the track. I mean, there's been times where I've watched it on the My Race Pass, and it's been insanely cool to watch. But it's so much better when they actually are racing in person. You're watching it. It's so much fun. This track can really bring out all the stars when it comes to, their skills. I mean, even then, this track could reach out and bite you. And it's almost like Darlington. It'll just reach out and take your car. I mean, for example, Kyle Larson last year was battling out with Brad Sweet.
Absolutely.
And biked it right up over the cushion. We thought he was gone. I was standing down in the infield to watch that car go up on two wheels. We thought he was gone, and he somehow managed to keep it on all floors
dude,
and make it around.
I remember watching that on TV live, man. That was amazing.
And then the battle between David Gravel and Brad Sweet to finish it all off. You thought for sure both of them were going to wreck with how hard they were beating and banging on each other. The contact going into turn one was insane. I mean, even I think it was last year, Anthony Macri was leading his heat race and completely looped it trying to pass a lapped car, and somehow had a big enough lead that set him out a big enough lead that it just, he looped it, kept going, still won by I think 9/10 of a second, which is insane. So I need to go grab myself a drink. I'm gonna let you take care of the episode.
All right,
I'll be right back.
So, like I was saying, guys, this is my first race here, and I am beyond impressed with the facility so far. I was watching them do track prep. I'm going to tell you, these guys are second to none when it comes to their track prep. I haven't seen anything like it, to be honest with you. But also, if you're in the Ohio area, especially Northwest Ohio, they actually moved it a week or two ahead. So tonight and tomorrow in Fremont, Ohio, at Lernerville Speedway, they have the Jim Ford Classic going on. And if you are there, don't forget to stop by our pals from Dirt Rowdy Nation podcast. They're actually right out of Fremont, Ohio, and they are there with a juice bar. And it is all donations, and all that stuff will be donated to Westmore, which we call Mac, the host of Dirt Rowdy Nation. He donates all that to his church or a local charity somehow. Great person, great thing to do, and a great race to attend. If you can't be here and you're located in Ohio, make it to the Jim Ford Classic. That is a race that you don't want to miss, especially if you are a huge fan of dirt sprint car racing. They're going to have dirt. I don't know if trucks are tonight along with the 410s or if it's 305s, but each night is going to be a different support series. So one of these nights it'll be the trucks and 410s, and it'll be the next night will be 410s and 305s. But Rich Farmer does a great job with that facility, and his team is second to none over there when it comes to prepping the track. Don't miss it, and it'll be huge now that it's Farmer's first year back. They have all kinds of stuff planned. I mean, stuff that I would have never thought. So, yeah, it's going to be a great show over there. Oh man, I lost my notes. But yeah, going back to my notes for history, Martin was one of the first promoters to guarantee a purse when it come to racing here. The first race was actually a 100-lap race for modifieds, and it brought all kinds of cars from the old Penn Western Racing Association and the sportsman cars that raced at Butler, Mercer, Blanket Hill, and Tri-City. The Penn Western cars were the favorites, but in the end, it was actually in Newcastle's Johnny Axe driving the number 34 Chevy Coupe to victory lane. Ed Lynch Sr. took the only Penn Western top 3 finish over Butler veteran Harry Hine.
We got the 55. I'm really who that was. 55's rolling in right now.
So that was actually a very interesting race. The first race ever was 100 lapper, and that's just insane. But they, like I said, they did what they had to do to get racing going in this facility, and they didn't get shut down in the end by the city ordinance. So, did you figure it out, Nathan?
I did. I got my drink.
All right. Needed the Mountain Dew rather than a
I
water,
did.
huh?
Yeah, I needed someone to get me a little more amped.
Well, that's good.
Oh yeah.
So what do you think? You think we're gonna have a good time tonight?
I think we're gonna have a blast. I mean, from what I understand, there's supposed to be a comedy show tonight after the races.
That was interesting.
To be fair, I'm kind of disappointed I wasn't invited. I feel like I have some pretty good jokes. I'm still working on my content though.
Dad jokes don't count.
Well, my Swiss joke has a few holes in it. My cheddar joke is pretty mild. Trust me, I know I'm monstrously bad at telling these jokes, but I enjoy it.
Your Swiss joke.
My Swiss joke still has a few holes in it. I know.
Oh my goodness. You're crazy, man.
I have a lot of fun with my humor. I can't help myself. But
you are absolutely crazy, you know.
But did you get to answer Ashley's question yet while I was grabbing a drink? Ashley Brocado wants to know.
I didn't catch it because I was actually checking out some other notes on here. I'm sorry.
Ashley Brocado wants to know, which is, everybody knows that's my fiance. She wants to know, what are we most excited for tonight? I'm gonna let you start with that, Russ. I want to know.
Do I have to? They might not like my answer.
What are you most excited for?
What am I most excited for? To be honest with you, I'm probably most excited to actually just see racing here in person, let alone the racing itself.
All right, I can respect that.
I love going to new racetracks. So my first time there, it's usually about taking in the facility and the surroundings, and then I could familiarize myself with the place, just like the tracks that I've always gone to. Attica, Fremont, all the stuff around me. I know, mostly about everything there. So getting to learn a new facility and the history behind it, and the people that like to race there, the people that run it, the people that actually come there, everything. It's all very interesting to me. It's kind of like American history. I love American history, and I actually enjoy politics, which a lot of people wouldn't ever believe. But politics we don't put on our show. We will never put politics on here. So
just stick it in the back of the truck.
But that's what I'm excited for. What about you?
Honestly, I'm kind of in the same boat, except I have been here so many times, and it still draws you back. The level of excitement, you never know what you're going to get at this track. It could be super, rubber down and just, wearing out tires, or it could be super, super, super grippy, and, all of a sudden you're laying down lightning fast lap times, or it could be super slick and people are throwing haymakers and sliders like there's nothing in between them.
Exactly. And if
this
it wasn't
track
my first
in particular, it can be so treacherous when it comes to different track surfaces. One day you could show up and it'd be rubber down and super, super grippy. Thank you guys.
Thanks for joining.
But it could be thank you. There could be days where the track could be super, super tacky and a lot of grip. And all of a sudden, the very next day, you could show up the next morning and the track be so dry and dusty that it's just slick as can be.
And that's exactly how the tracks are in my area with what we could.
Mother Nature seems to throw us the weirdest curveballs out here, where you can look at the sky, it looks like it's going to rain, and it produces the greatest racing out there.
The funny thing about our area is because the tracks all differ from place to place to place when it comes to the surface and what it actually contains. So we just call our tracks over there Ohio farm dirt. So and
thank you for tuning in, Kim. I don't know if we got a shout out to you yet.
And the amazing thing, but you could go from 1 week the track being as smooth as glass, but it is black and rubbered over, and it's slick, to the next week being super tacky and soft and creating lightning fast speeds that you just didn't see the week before. They could be going a whole second or two faster from one week to the next over there. And that is the most interesting thing about dirt track racing is the surface is always different.
Yeah.
And you never know what you're going to get from week to week or race to race.
And even
from night to night, like we could get a completely different race tonight than what we're going to get tomorrow.
I wouldn't even say that. You could go out and, hot laps. Just the way this track runs sometimes, you could go out prior to hot laps and it look like it's going to be super, super good right along the bottom. And as soon as hot laps are done, magically the top is the place to go.
It's
crazy. I mean, from before hot laps to the end of the feature, this track will go through such a transformation that it's insane.
And I've noticed that here when watching on TV, I've actually seen the track go from hot laps of qualifying being super fast to slipping off and being slow for heat races, and come feature time it picks right back up to where it was in qualifying. And that is amazing how that works.
And this,
especially with this red clay here, the way that it likes to hold the moisture, and as the track dries while the sun is up, it gets slick. But as soon as that sun goes down and the temperature drops and the moisture comes back up into that racetrack around feature time, you can see things that you ain't never thought you'd see that night.
And based on past events with the High Limits Tour here, or I guess across all series with the Outlaws and whatnot, this race compared to races early in the year is one of the more exciting races, because as the night wears on, the temperature gets lower and lower and lower, and more moisture comes out of the track. You can start this race where it's super hot out, and the moment the sun goes down and the track starts to cool off, it almost feels like the lap times pick right back up. So we could be running, really slow lap times and hot laps and qualifying. And once the sun goes down and we're getting to the feature, you'll be picking up, insane amount of speed, it feels like. I mean, these guys find the grip and they go. I mean, it's, right now, I think it's about, I believe it was like supposed to be in the 80s today. We're supposed to be down to like the 50s by the end of the night.
Yeah, it'll be down in the 60s,
going to get grippy
50s
again.
and 60s by the end of the night. And this track's going to get tacky again.
Yes. And
as long as the rubber holds off during the daytime.
And as they call him here, Dan Bauman is the master at making this track insanely good for racing. I'm not sure how he does it, but they must call him the Dirt Whisperer for a reason, because he is just that good at making this track insanely fast for some insanely good drivers.
So before we go any further though, Nathan, I do want to remind all of our viewers, especially those of you on Facebook, don't forget to find us on YouTube at Switching Grooves. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
And we have our new business cards with them on there. If you don't have one yet, come find us. We'll get you one.
So like I said, we're slowly posting our previous shows from our Facebook only days to our YouTube channel. It's just taking time. I don't want to overwhelm the channel all at once. Give people something to actually look forward to watching. But a lot of those episodes, this all started years ago with another person, and he did an absolutely amazing job of helping get this going. And like I said, his time came, and we brought Nathan on, and Nathan's doing an awesome job of helping me keep it going.
Well, it's definitely fun.
It's funny how this all worked out, though. It was like, okay, I needed to do an episode one night that I couldn't do alone. I needed to have somebody, because there were some of them that I did alone, but I needed somebody. And I was like, man, who in the heck do I get a hold of? And I was like, wait a minute. I know who I can get a hold of.
That backup co-host.
I was like, I think that Nathan can help me. And
it was definitely
fun. It's awesome how it works out, though, because it all started with helping me with a couple episodes, to doing it permanently, to actually meeting in person and becoming good friends out of it. It's awesome how those friendships build over some simple things like a Facebook podcast.
So what we need to do now is, now that we've done a dirt live podcast, now we need to step it up and go to a NASCAR podcast. I can't. I wish we could do Watkins Glen.
Like she just asked me, why aren't we at Watkins Glen?
Oh, trust me, if I could afford it, the time to go do it, by all means, we will be on the road Saturday night for Watkins Glen.
I wouldn't be able to make it back in time for work, so.
Podcasts are good for that. We'll give you a work excuse. We'll give you a switch and grooves excuse.
Yeah, I don't think that would fly too well with my supervisor. I mean,
that's fair. But one of these days, we need to get a NASCAR live show going, even from the campgrounds at whatever track we go to.
I mean, he would absolutely be like, yeah, you can have a vacation day, but
we need to take a vacation day and do a weekend of it. That's what we need to do.
My boss is pretty cool, though, man. He just like, okay, you want to burn your vacation days up? Here you go. You can have it. Well, as long as we're not super swamped at work, he's just like, yeah, here you go.
One of these days, we'll get a podcast from a NASCAR track.
Really cool guy, actually. I tell you what, not to sit here and talk about bosses, man, but I got a pretty decent one where, he just lets you do your damn job and leaves you alone. So,
I don't know. I feel like I got a pretty good boss in myself for switching grooves. My co-boss over here does pretty good.
I don't know. The other night you didn't wear the proper uniform, so.
Hey, I had to save the uniform for the special occasions. It was casual day at work. I have to be formal for my formal live show.
There is no uniforms.
You gotta have something to show.
But it is awesome to be able to wear our shirts, man.
So hopefully we'll get some more shirts from when people want some. Hopefully we ought to get them out someday. Get like a T-shirt cannon or something. It's kind of fun.
That is actually a good thought. We'll have to get us a couple of those.
All we got to do is get one of those water balloon cannons and just put a T-shirt in them. Or the water balloon slingshots.
Or a paintball gun.
Well, no, you just get the big...
That's what a lot of those are. They're just paintball guns. They're Tippmann 98 paintball guns with a big tube on the front instead of a barrel. And they stuff a T-shirt in it. And
all we got to do is, we gotta get you and me on either end, and we'll have some fan flinging shirts for us. There we go.
Get a slingshot. There you go.
That's what I mean. We'll get a water balloon slingshot. We'll fling our shirts into the stand somewhere. Just launch them into a campground.
Or we can just do it the old-fashioned way and suck it up and throw them.
But that's no fun. It's fun to go a long distance with them. Projectile shirts.
Yeah, it's fun. This is all in good fun. I love what we do, man. And I can't imagine doing it with anyone else anymore, man. You are just as passionate about racing as I am, and it shows.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love doing this stuff. This is definitely
you were absolutely meant for doing this stuff, dude. Like it just.
I get excited over racing. I can't help that. I can't help. I love doing that. It's just fun for me. But hopefully we'll get some.
We definitely need to find a network to get you on. And even if you have to leave switching grooves, dude, I would love to see you do that kind of stuff.
See, I feel like I wouldn't miss it. Oh, we got a driver coming in the wrong entrance up here.
That's all right.
We got a semi coming in the normal parking.
He could just do a big loop right here. There ain't nobody.
Do a big loop. We can do an interview right here. We'll have him interviewed. I'm trying to think who that would even be. That's an unmarked trailer. Wonder if that's a driver that's normally not with the 410 Sprints. Who is making their debut tonight? Wasn't it Ricky Thornton, two-time winner?
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that part yet. You weren't supposed to let that loose yet. We haven't gotten there yet.
Sorry.
But, okay, so now that the cat's out of the bag, yeah, RTJ is set to make his 410 Sprint car debut tonight.
He is a two-time late model winner here. Now, if we can make him a three-time, two with the late models and one with the Sprints, that would be a show.
And whose car is he driving tonight, Nathan?
I believe it's the 71 RT.
Dude, it's going to be interesting, man, to see Ricky go from the late model to the sprint car. Some guys can do it, some guys can't. And I'm not saying that Ricky can or can't, but it's going to be interesting to see how he handles the sprint car because it's half of the weight and half the size.
With more motor.
Yep.
With way more motor.
With double horsepower.
Yes.
Probably not double, but more horsepower. I mean, these 410s are pushing 900,000 horsepower anymore.
Oh yeah.
And they're only 1475 when it comes to weight. So it's only 1,475 pounds compared to what 2,500, 3,000 a late model is.
Oh, he's looking at somebody else. It looks like maybe
he probably thought you were crazy or something.
I was trying to wave. I was trying to figure who it was.
But yeah, that's going to be one of the most interesting things about tonight is seeing how Ricky does himself. And I hope he does well. I really, really do. I hate seeing when guys go from one thing to another and they can't do well.
Well, let's
know,
see if I can find the roster for tonight.
I
know there's
just
a
hope
few of
that,
them.
but I hope he takes right to it, rather than it taking him some time to adjust, and then potentially just losing his ride like some guys have. I've seen guys that, you know, it takes them some time to adjust to the car, but in the meantime they go through 3 or 4 different rides because the people aren't patient enough with them. But in the end, they wish that they kept them around, because they do end up being great sprint car drivers, and some of them even champions. So I mean, hopefully that works out well for him tonight, and hopefully he's like Kyle Larson, man. The guy can just get in anything and drive.
Here is some key notes for tonight's roster of drivers. We have John Jarrett, who's a local.
I was actually going to go through the whole expected list here.
Well, some of the locals that are catching my eye is John Jarrett. He has actually done really good. I went to school with him, and he's actually surprised me quite a bit. He's actually been able to compete with some of the front runners. I think he used to be a 305 driver, and he's definitely come alive as of lately. I feel like he's been good. Jacob Begenwald, I can't pronounce his name right if I tried. He is one of the youngest kids in our local field, and he is insanely good behind the wheel. I think the last time the high limits guys were here, he was on 3. He had 3 wheels in the air coming off turn 4. I believe he got hit from behind by somebody, but he had only 1 wheel touching the ground a good part of turn 4 and still managed to save it. The little ding underneath the rear bumper, but definitely some insane driving out of that young man. We've got some of the bigger names. You've got Spencer Baston. You got Tyler Courtney tonight. Jacob Allen, Casey Kane, Corey Eliason, Parker Price Miller. We've got
Emerson Axum, Justin Peck, Ricky Thornton, James McFadden,
Corey Day, Brett Marks,
Skylar G, Cy Lynch, Cody Bova.
Cy Lynch is actually a local guy, funny enough. He's actually right down the road in Apollo, PA.
And even Greg Wilson's making the trip, according to the entry list here. Brandon Spithaler.
Of course, Ricky Thornton. That's a weird one. I don't expect to see him on that list.
Yeah, Hunter Schoenberg actually got a ride to come here. The 2KS.
Brad Sweet. We saw him in the pits earlier.
Yeah, we spoke to Brad already. Brandon Crouch.
I mean, this is an insane.
Brenham Crouch. Sorry.
This is an insane entry list. 16 high rollers. We've got them tonight. We've got Lernerville locals tonight. We've got a PA posse driver with Anthony Macari. Some Midwest teams. They got them tonight. And they've even got a late model dude. There's a wide variety of racers tonight. This is a stacked field tonight.
Yeah, and it's going to be...
Anybody who's here who definitely is in for a real treat.
It's going to be exciting, man, to see the variety of drivers we have. We have guys from, local guys like Skylar G.
Skylar, I don't even know is Skylar even.
Well, no, I'm not talking local here, but just local. They usually race local. They're not huge. They don't follow one series or another. That's what I consider a local driver is one that doesn't follow a specific series.
Yeah.
That's what I mean when I say local drivers. We got guys like Skylar G, from guys like that to guys like Brad Sweet, Rico Abreu, Jacob Allen, and AJ Flick.
Allen, I believe, is actually from Pennsylvania. AJ Flick is also right down the road in Apollo, PA, just like Cy Lynch.
Logan McCandless is here. Anthony Macary's here.
I believe, I'll have to check with my fiance. 8-time track champ for AJ Flick. The dude is on fire here. He has yet to come up big with the High Limits Tour, but he has shown an absolute domination over the field here on a weekly basis.
I'm going to tell you what, he has yet to come up big, but tonight he's going to roll the dice with the high limit, and maybe he can cash in with a win here tonight. That would be awesome to see.
It would be awesome because he drives the famous number 2 Flick Racing car. Tonight he is driving the 71 Indy Auto Parts car, which is insane that he's gotten such a great ride with that. It's so cool to see him.
And speaking of sprint car stuff like this, going a little off topic, but we stayed up late last night to welcome in the new World of Outlaws 2024 game. And I will give you my opinion already.
I'll give you mine also.
Is I'm a little disappointed in the game. First of all, there were spelling errors of drivers.
Who's
know,
Treb Jacobs?
Yeah, Treb Jacobs. I don't know who Treb Jacobs is. Never heard of the guy. I know who Trey Jacobs is. Really great.
I believe
Great guy, man. I tell
Isn't
you.
he the 3J? I mean, obviously we have a 3J here, which
Yeah,
is the Megan Wall.
then last I knew that it was
Trey Jacobs drives
it was the son of Dean Jacobs, former outlaw driver, Dean Jacobs.
Maybe it's his alter ego.
And
maybe that's who
nephew
that is.
of Kenny Jacobs, cousin to Lee Jacobs. So it's like,
I mean,
it's crazy. But yeah, they misspelled words. They misspelled names. To be honest, I've seen drivers in the game that, I'm not trying to.
I don't know if they changed the wraps from last year. That's the kind of weird part for me. Is some of these paint schemes.
Well, some of the paint schemes
changed.
are the same, anyways. Like Trey's 3J car still looks the same as it did the last game. So
see, and that's not always the case though. Like some of the big name
some
guys,
of them no,
they haven't changed at all.
No,
but also
they
some of the other paint schemes from local drivers, like we have in the old World Outlaw game, we had AJ Flick, we had Brandon Mattis, we had Brandon Spithaller. Brandon Spithaller, I think, is the only one that changed, and they added more stickers to his car. AJ Flick's car isn't even the same paint scheme this year as it is in the game.
And
they never updated that. Brandon Mattis seems like he lost sponsors on his car, which is kind of sad because they haven't. They almost took the same cars and just threw them back in the game with less stickers. So I was kind of disappointed with that.
But the cool thing about the drivers that are in the game is they put a good mix of drivers in it that you would never expect to see. They put some local drivers in it that are a little bit bigger name, but they don't run consistently with Outlaws or High Limit, specifically Outlaws because it's a World of Outlaws game. But it's awesome to see them do that, and they give those drivers a recognition, and that's exactly what our sport needs for people to actually get more interested in following the sport or even becoming drivers themselves. But a couple other things that I was disappointed in was the graphics.
I honestly was very disappointed when this game first came out on last year's edition. Was a great new show or a great new game. Now I feel like it's dropped off a little bit. It isn't as good this year. They added Millbridge with the micro sprints, and it really, it's not any better this year, and that's a sad thought. I thought they're going to be on the same trajectory and be better, and they aren't this year. And it's very frustrating because, all these people who got so excited over the game being good last year, and now we've spent the money to get the same game just with a different price tag.
And I understand that with the gaming consoles themselves, you're not going to be able to make it as good as an actual iRacing on a computer. But
from last year's Xbox to this year's Xbox game,
nothing changed.
The graphics seem to have gone downhill. They added new tracks, but they are worse than the tracks that are already in there.
But I understand that the amount of space and stuff in a gaming console isn't as much as a computer.
Yeah.
But iRacing being involved either way, along with Monster Games, you would think they would have came up with something just a little bit better. And we're not trying to bash the game. And if anyone from iRacing or Monster Games is watching, we're just trying to give some constructive criticism on things that we didn't like. It feels like we had things taken away graphic-wise to add different features to the game, like the damage and the wing slider and stuff like that. I'm going to tell you,
the damage really didn't change though. Like it didn't get any better.
It didn't change. You see a little bit of slight damage compared to what you saw in the last game. But I'm going to tell you what, when it comes to graphics and seeing the realistic side of the damage happening, which I understand that the graphic itself isn't going to be the same, but from 2002 to now, the World of Outlaws 2002 game, I would rather play that because the adjustability of the cars, you could actually tell the difference in the adjustability of your car, or if you move the wing on the racetrack. I could definitely tell when I played that game that if I pulled the wing back on the race car while I was playing the game, you could tell the difference in how the car handled in the video game.
Moving the wing back in because this year's feature, they did add the moving the wing back and forth feature. I did notice it while driving. You could feel that it got a little easier to drive as you moved it backwards and forwards. at the same time, say you crash the micro sprint, it doesn't. There's no wing damage to the front. It's only on the top. It's kind of disappointing because
No,
you thought
actually,
there'd be more.
I saw more wing damage on the nose wing in the game than I did on the top wing.
We did that with the front. We did that with the 410. It wasn't with the micro. The micro.
You're speaking of the micro. Okay,
yeah. The micro sprint really didn't have a nose damage.
And when it came to the late models and stuff, I didn't really notice any damage.
I didn't really mess with the late models.
So the visual aspect when it comes to the graphics of the game were very, very disappointing. Plus, to be honest with you, when it comes to looking at when you have the view behind the car and you're looking at a sprint car, the wing seems to be so narrow and not as wide as it should be. I do feel like it
narrowed up a little bit.
It reminds me more of the lower budget game that came out after the original World of Outlaws game, what was it called? Sprint Cars and Sprint Cars Road to Knoxville or whatever. Those were kind of low budget games, and it felt more like that to me than it did an actual quality game.
I'm gonna contradict that one.
I'm just talking of the look of the car. I'm not talking the graphics altogether. I'm just talking about the look of the car itself.
I do feel like the 2002 game is good. Don't get me wrong, but I honestly think that when we went from 2002 to the 2022 version, I feel like the 2022 version was a little bit better. It brought back the game that we didn't have for a while.
Yeah.
And the graphics were definitely updated, and it felt a little bit more immersive. Like it felt like it was fun to drive. And now I feel like we've backslid past the 2002 version to where it goes, to the 2022, 2023 version, 2002, and the new 2004 game is worse than the 2002 version.
I'll put it this way to the fans. If you haven't purchased the game yet, I would stick with the 2022 version.
Bob Robert Siegel.
If you don't have either one of them, then by all means just take your pick. But if you have the 2022 version, don't bother buying this game yet. I'm sure that they will take all the feedback that they're getting and they will make adjustments.
Yeah,
and provide updates to the game that you can download.
Well, they just released prior for the gold edition. So
yeah,
we still have time for them to correct it.
It was just released less than 24 hours ago. So
my initial reaction, I didn't like it, but they still have time to release it before the standard edition goes live. And at that point, I feel like the gold edition was kind of a trial, but it will fix it. And I feel like that's going to be a good thing.
But we wanted to provide our feedback so they can make those adjustments to the game before they release everything standard edition and everything to the public and put out the actual physical copy of the game for the gaming console. So,
but yeah, I don't know. I'm excited about the new game being released. I'm still a little disappointed with the initial reactions, but then again, I only played it for like an hour last night before we went to bed to get ready for today. So I'm on the fence about it right now. I am more disappointed, but at the same time, it's still very early in my time playing the game.
And we're only stating our opinion like this, not to bash it, but to let Monster Games and iRacing know that this is what we feel about it. And Nathan is an avid gamer.
He loves
playing these racing games. So we want to let them know so they can make any adjustments they need to. And
I will
take our opinion along with everyone else's feedback.
And I don't know if anybody actually would be willing to. But I would love to see Monster Games. I know that most of the street stock guys are just, they're fantasy drivers. They're not actually real. I would love to see actual drivers across all divisions. Because I know we've got the 410 drivers. We've got the, Word Outlaw late model guys, the 305, the 360, the UMPs, and some of the micro guys. I would love to see some drivers have their actual cars in the game, street stocks, the Micro Sprint 600s, the UMPs, the big block. I mean, I know there's a lot of big blocks in there too, but I would love to see the classes that have no real drivers in them. I would love to see some drivers get in, be able to get their way in the field. I know that there's I can't think of how to pronounce the last guy's name, but the 121 local. I mean, maybe Bob or Robert Seal can help me with the name. I can't think of what his name is. But the 121 is a local street stock guy. And I feel like he will be really good to have a local guy in the game.
And I'm not super familiar with the local street stock guys.
We don't even have street stocks locally.
I mainly follow the Outlaws and the high limit sprint cars.
Yeah. But I mean, just for people who are fans of these drivers, if they have a street stock, the chance to get them in the field would be amazing. Get them just in the game. Get their name out there. People will get to play as them. Be kind of cool. I mean, I know that everybody likes to use a custom car, but it would be nice to have some more street stock guys, or maybe even get some guys you don't normally get advertising. Would love to see, I know a track champion here, Michael Norris. He's only in the pro late models. Would love to see his Ward Outlaw number 72 car he ran at the Eldora recently. Obviously a big favorite would be to have Bloomquist as a DLC to add in with his late passing.
And bring it and actually see if they understand that they have to get permission, but bring as like a special tribute to him his old 18 car.
That would be, I mean, great to have like a paint scheme button, because I know they don't have that currently. But you could have 18, and then you could have the alternative, because I know they used to do that with Donnie Schatz. They had his 15 car parts car, and then they had his other
his AutoZone car. And it's absolutely nothing against Donnie Schatz himself whatsoever. But I was kind of disappointed to see
that they put him back on.
That they made the focal point Donnie Schatz again in this game where they did it last year.
See,
I say they should have moved on to another guy. They gave it to Donnie, and by all means, being one of the longest running drivers in the game right now, he got the first one, and that's awesome. I was glad to see that. But now let's move it on to guys like McFadden or like Brad Sweet. Brad Sweet
I wouldn't even say that.
Even though he's a high limit guy, they don't need to hold that against him, because he and his brother-in-law went out and started another series. They didn't do that to screw over the Outlaws. But Brad Sweet,
Brandon Shepherd too.
Brad Sweet is a 5-time World of Outlaw champion.
Yeah,
he deserves every bit of being in that game and being able to voice some opinion, as long as Brad is willing to agree to do that. And I don't think Brad would have an issue with that, in my personal opinion.
Yeah,
he didn't have a problem with the World of Outlaws at all. If from what I understand, he just wanted to try to find something to help.
Pretty sure Brad Sweet was in the game last year too.
I'm not saying that in the game as a driver in a car. I'm talking about the talking points and the focal points where as you're moving on in your career, and the guys will talk to you, give you a pointer, stuff like that. Involve Brad in that if he would agree to do that. I would love to see something like that. Or just moving around from different guys to different guys. I saw it was mainly like David Gravel or Donnie Schatz last year.
Give you the option to pick your driver.
Yes, and even something like that. Okay, who do you want to pick to be your mentor?
Because I know in NASCAR Heat 5, they give you DLCs. You could be TJ Majors, you could be Tony Stewart, you could be Jeff Gordon. You could use them as your spotter in the game, almost your mentor.
Stuff like that would be awesome to see.
Another thing that they could have added, this is just a marketing idea for them, put Brandon Shepherd in. If you're going to drive a late model, use Brandon Shepherd. He's on your cover. Just use him as your mentor for the late model series. Have him be your mentor in the street stocks. Have be your mentor in the pro stocks, or the pro late models, and then the super lates. You could switch back and forth between, say Brandon Shepherd and Donnie Schatz, or whoever you chose to be your late model driver. Whoever you chose to be your sprint car driver, you could pick who you want your mentor to be, and that would be who you would drive with in career mode. I feel like that would be cool.
But yeah, guys that are very deserving of that, and they would be more than willing to do it. And I'm sure Brad would love to do something like that. He would be happy to do something like that, to be involved in the game, to be a mentor to people. He didn't just go out and start a sprint car series just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
He did it to help better the sport, to help get these guys a little bit more money in their pockets, and not to compete directly with the World of Outlaws. They don't even run half of the schedule the Outlaws do. But it also gives the drivers an opportunity to have more time away from the sport to spend with their families, because this is mainly a weekend sport. So, they did what they felt was best for the sport, and not to screw anybody over. The Outlaws are never going to go anywhere. Nobody's ever going to be able to take anything away from the World of Outlaws. So I don't want to see that happen, and I never would want to see that happen. But I like the fact that there are two of them now, because not one company is just setting up, the basic standard set of rules, and that's what everybody in the country goes by. It's a little give and take from the drivers and the series, and that comes between both series, so they have to balance out. I mean, yes, both series have, or each series has their the ability to set their own rules, but I like seeing how they try to balance it out so guys can run with both series and not have to make a huge amount of changes to go from one to the other. It's great to see that. Now, what I would really like to see is the Outlaws get rid of the ridiculous, how many races you can race with someone else to be considered for the Outlaws. The high limit doesn't do that, and I commend Brad and Kyle for not installing any kind of ridiculous kind of rule like that. But we'll see where things go. Maybe the Outlaws will up the amount of races other than just 4. But that's all in time. So
yeah. I'm kind of excited to see, though, what comes with the future. With this going on, I'd love to see it expand a little. See where they go from there.
But I'm just curious to see the guys that have been winning lately, and the guys have been kind of struggling. They've been really good, but they've been kind of struggling to see, how they feel that their car's been running and how their team has been handling things tonight or throughout the season, and what they also feel it's going to take to get them to victory lane tonight. That would be my main question for any driver that we get to interview tonight. And I'm actually looking forward to hopefully getting a couple of those either before the races start or after. We cannot do anything live during the broadcast inside the fence, unfortunately.
That's flow racing.
But that is flow racing only. So if you want to catch the race, tune into Flow Racing. You'll be able to find it on there, Flow Racing Live. They do a great job of coverage, and we look forward to having a good time here tonight.
Before you end, I want to bring these young fans on in. Come on in, guys. You guys are what, from Australia? You said. Yeah. We want to get you guys on that you guys can come see. Come on in. What is your name? I gotta.
Ambrose.
What is it?
Ambrose.
That might be the most unique name I've ever heard, especially because we have an Ambrose Farms over here for our farmers markets. That's kind of cool that we have someone named Ambrose on here. What's your name?
Rusty.
Rusty, nice to meet you guys.
That's cool. My name's Rusty too, man.
Hey, there we go.
I go by Russ, but
we wanted to make sure you guys got to make your debut today.
But I've been raised as Rusty, so that's pretty cool, man.
Did I hear Marcus Ambrose over there? I heard that. What was it about Marcus Ambrose?
I'm named after Marcus Ambrose.
That's badass, kid. That's cool.
You know what? One other really cool thing about Marcus Ambrose was one of the all-time greatest sprint car drivers named Frankie Kerr. He drove the 23S sprint car. It was orange. It was a cool color. But he was actually Marcus Ambrose's crew chief when he was racing the 47 car in NASCAR.
And also, weren't you guys at Watkins Glen? You said, did you guys make it to Watkins Glen?
I think they went by. They were saying they were going by.
Do you know where one of Marcus Ambrose's first wins was? Yep. Good job. So that's definitely cool.
That is so awesome to see. We love having our fans interact with us, man. Guys,
before we close our episode, I do want to ask, who is your pick to win tonight? We'll start with you.
I reckon either Rico or James McFadden.
Ooh, I kind of figured McFadden, but it is good to know that there is some options. How about you?
Rico.
All right. Good to have you guys on. Glad you guys could join us, and thank you for the stickers also. Those are cool.
Absolutely, and we're definitely going to give you guys this track a shout out. Lernerville Speedway in Australia, guys, check it out. I'm sure that there will be a lot of racing there in the off season of the United States. So I'm excited to see that. And
I'd love to see Kyle. I heard Kyle Larson might do something like that. That'd be kind of cool to see.
It'd be awesome.
See, there we go. That'd be cool to see, though.
Of course, McFadden will be there.
Yeah.
Oh, he
Oh,
will.
wow. That's
Wow.
crazy. Well,
That's
thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for coming on, guys. So we're actually
We're about ready to wrap it up.
we're gonna actually wrap up here so we can walk around and enjoy ourselves. So we will see you guys in the pit area. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, guys.
And have a good night tonight.
Thanks, you too.
So guys, I think that's gonna do it for this episode.
I say we go explore.
We're just over time. We're gonna take some time to go explore and walk around and speak to some people, drivers, crews, maybe some of the track crew, whatever. But if you see us out and about, don't hesitate to ask us to do an interview. I will carry my microphones and stuff with me because they are portable. So I'll carry them with me. We can absolutely step aside and do an interview, especially if you're a driver or a crew member. We love interacting with drivers, crew members, and even our fans. And thanks for watching our episodes, guys. Nathan, you got anything to say before we go?
I'm just super excited tonight. I'm glad that we got to meet some new fans, you know, new to Lernerville. I mean, obviously you're new. I guarantee these guys have never been to Lernerville before. So this is super cool to see, you know, all the new fans that come out for races like this. I'm just super excited.
It's going to be a good time.
I'm so excited. But with Switching Grooves, I'm Nathan Johns.
Guys, and I'm Russ Fritz saying race hard, stay safe, and we'll see you there.
Bye, guys.
See you later, guys.